Hey, it's Domain Dave from Cheapwinefinder.com with another podcast for a wine review we wrote up on the Cheapwinefinder.com website. That's what we do 3 times a week. Plug in the microphone and then we talk about those wines. And here we are talking about this wine, which is the Scarlet Path Lodi Old Vine Zinfandel 2021. It's a wine that's been around at Aldi for a little bit of time now. I think we did the 2020 vintage too a couple of years ago. And I thought we could revisit this wine because we're coming in on cookout season. And it's getting about time to start looking for those good bottles of wine that you can bring outside and, on a Tuesday night, the neighbors come by, you pour a glass of wine. You're not really pouring the good stuff because you're outside having fun, swatting mosquitoes. You're having burgers in the grill and you want a bottle of wine to drink with it. And this is it. $7.99. It's produced by from a family-owned winery, Vineyards and Winery. They have the largest sustainably farmed estates in Monterey. This wine is from Lodi. Lodi is located in the river deltas from the San Pablo Bay. San Pablo Bay is the bay east of Oakland. And it's south and east of Napa, close to Sacramento. In the river valleys, it's cool enough to grow grapes, but on top, it can get pretty warm. But Lodi is a great place for Old Vine Zinfandel. So what's the big deal about Old Vine Zinfandel and exactly what is it and why is it? Grapes that suffer, or vines that suffer, produce better grapes. That's just one of the truisms of wine. The grapes you get for your jelly, those are fat and sassy grapes, and they're sweet and juicy, but they're not wine grapes. And just because they're old, and nowadays there's no law that says it's old, but anything over 45 years old is kind of considered that. The channels inside the vine, they break off and they close up, and they have to get new ones just to get the nutrients from the roots to the grape. It's a lot of these grapes I just read today are old enough that they didn't irrigate, so they're hardier too. So they're newer grapes, which always get drip irrigation, are kind of like they're kind of soft, but these old grapes are used to just taking what nature throws at them too. So these old grapes are a treasure, and you can get really good value-priced wines. And say Napa Cabernet Sauvignon, those vineyards, they're pulling those grapes out maybe after 25 years. They want those vineyards that are producing a lot of money, because Cabernet is a popular wine, and you need a lot of grapes to keep going. You make a lot of money for that crop. They might be constantly replanting and pulling them out for 25 years, so the vineyard is always at peak production. That's not the history of Zinfandel. I mean, they did have in the 60s and 70s, they had white Zinfandel, a sweet rosé wine. That was popular, and they actually planted a lot of vineyards then just to meet the demand of the craze, and that died down. The whole Zinfandel thing died down. And actually, those vines are now 50 and 60 years old now, so the wines made to be white Zinfandel are actually cool wines. And there's other vineyards that are 100 or more years old, and they're just national treasures. Now, a old vine isn't a style of wine, so Old Vine Zinfandel doesn't mean you're going to get this or going to get that. It's up to the winemaker. And it's up to the winemaker to make a good wine. Each one does, and when you get a great vineyard and you get a great winemaker, you're going to get a great wine. I'm going to take a sip. And this one's a nice one. This is a patio pounder, as they say. This is watching Netflix. It's 110 outside, and you got the air on, and you're just going to kick back and have a couple glasses of wine and watch whatever. It's not your favorite go-to Zinfandel. It won't be that. I mean, there's some really great Zinfandels out there. You know, the one you'll pull out when it's a good occasion. This is just a good $8 Zinfandel. And actually, the 2020 vintage was $9, so it's gone down $1. The producer makes a lot of wines for Aldi and other places too. And they're a good producer. They make lots of wine. So this Aldi Zinfandel, oh, and the label is this Scarlet Path. There's an S on the label. And it's velvet. The label feels like velvet. And even the cork had an S on it. So this is one of those wines that even though you bought it from a supermarket and it's a supermarket brand, you don't have to feel like you have to cover it up or, you know, pour it in a carafe or something so they don't see the, you know, the two-pug chuck label. I'm going to take another sip. This wine holds its own with anything else on the store shelves. And actually, it holds its own with, you know, $12 Zinfandels. I mean, it does a nice job. It's, like I said, it's not your go-to. It's not one of the wines from some of the great Zinfandel producers. And it might not even be the greatest vintage ever. It might just be a decent one for them. But it tastes good, and it's a useful wine. I mean, it would go well with a burger. I mean, it would wash that down real easy. And it would be nice on a beautiful night. So there you go. I'm Domain Dave from Cheapwinefinder.com. This is the Scarlet Path Lodi Old Vine Zinfandel 2021. We talked about why Old Vine and what does it do, and it doesn't do anything other than give the winemaker some good grapes to work with, which isn't bad at all. So adios until a couple days from now. It's going to be a hot one in Chicago. It's going to be in the 90s, so it will be nice and chilly inside, and I'll be talking to everybody later. Adios. Bye-bye. Keep it cheap.